Before we get started, quick favor. If you love history as much as we do, please hit that like button. It's just an easy way to help us create more content for you. Imagine a man so feared, his nickname alone sends shivers down your spine. Not because of what he took from people, but because of what he turned them into. This is the chilling story of El Pozolero, the soup maker, a man whose job was so macabre that it defies belief. By the end of this video, you'll understand the depths of human darkness and the terrifying systems that create such monsters. El Pozolero wasn't a leader, a shooter, or even a strategist. He was a cleaner, but not in the way you'd think. His task was to erase evidence, to make the consequences of cartel violence disappear, literally. Imagine a macabre workshop in Tijuana, Mexico, situated amidst scorching hills, with rows of rusty barrels filled with acid that hissed and bubbled while human remains were dissolved inside. The odors were overwhelming, a noxious chemical smell that could burn nostrils. Neighbors described odd, acrid smells and strange sounds in the night. Some claimed this to be the smell of death. What they didn't know, or chose not to, was that inside those barrels were the remains of husbands, wives, sons, and daughters who would never again be seen. Picture this reality: someone you love taken, stripped of their identity, reduced to unrecognizable sludge. It's a kind of horror that leaves scars far deeper than death alone. But who was El Pozolero? His real name was Santiago Meza López, and he didn't grow up dreaming of a life in crime. By every account, he was an ordinary man. He started working for the cartels as a handyman, doing little jobs here and there. Then came the turning point. The cartel asked him to clean up after their killings. He claimed at first that he did not know what he was doing. He thought it was garbage, debris, the junk of the earth. Soon he realized the truth. These weren't trash bags he was dissolving. They were human beings. And that's when the shocking truth sets in. He didn't stop. He just kept going. Years later, El Pozolero would confess to dissolving at least 300 bodies in acid. That is 300 families torn apart, living without answers, without closure, without even a grave to mourn over. How does a person cross that line? How does someone justify waking up every morning to do the unthinkable? Is it fear, greed, or is it something darker, a complete loss of humanity? The Pozolero did not operate in a vacuum, part of a vast system. He was merely a cog in this killing machine, driven by the wars between rival cartels. These organizations don't only kill, but they wipe out. Each victim whose remains dissolved in those barrels meant one less case for the authorities, one less shred of evidence to bring justice. It is not the crime of one man. It's about the structures that allowed him to exist. Corruption, fear, lack of accountability all played a role here. The cartels didn't create El Pozolero. Society did. And what of us? The world watched, read the headlines, shook its head, and moved on. But here is the hard truth. With every horror being ignored, we all are complicit in the systems that allow them to happen. El Pozolero's story puts us in front of a very uncomfortable question. How much do we value human life? In his world, people weren't people. They were problems to be solved. But here's the lesson we must take away. When we dehumanize others, we lose our own humanity. Think of the families. Hundreds of them still wait for answers, for closure, for at least a bone to bury. Their grief is a grim reminder that every life matters, that no one should be erased. But this isn't just about Mexico or the cartels. It's about the world. How often do we turn away from injustice, suffering, or cruelty because it's easier? Every time we ignore someone's pain, we risk becoming like El Pozolero, numb to the value of a human life. So now, I want to hear from you. What do you really think drives a person to cross such a horrifying line? Fear, greed, or something entirely different? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story has left a mark on you, then it is time not to keep it to yourself. Like, share, subscribe, and continue this conversation below. Remember, stories like these are told, not just to shock us, but to wake us up instead. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Stay inquisitive, stay aware, and most importantly, stay human. See you in the next video.